Hello everyone. Welcome to the sixth week of our online sessions. I need to thank you for your commitment to watch the videos all this time. This shows how determined and wonderful you are. At the same time, I would like you to encourage your friends to watch the videos and to write their names in the comments below. After saying that, grab your Global English books and let's begin. Today we will be studying Unit 15, Natural Disasters. First, we will learn some definitions related to natural disasters, then we will read a text. The following point will be present perfect in both active and passive. After that, we will read another text and work on its vocabulary and questions. Then we would use despite and in spite of. And finally, we will be solving exercises from your workbook. Before we could read our text on page 120, Earth, Wind, Fire, and Water, you need to be introduced to some of these definitions here that will help you to read this text. First, you have pressure. Pressure is the force pressing on something. Then you have release, is to allow to escape. Third is vibrations, fast and continuous shaking movements. Number 4 is surface. A surface of something is the outside or top layer of something. Then you have fuel, a substance that produces heat or power when it's burned. Then number 6 will be source. A source is the origin or provider of something. Overflow, usually for liquids, when not able to be contained. Number 8, melt, also with liquids, change from a solid into liquid. Burst, break suddenly so that the contents come out. And finally is epicenter, the area of land directly over the center of an earthquake. Now we would be able to read our text, Earth, Wind, Fire, and Water. We will read it, finish it, and after that choose a title for each paragraph. We have 4 choices there: earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, and wildfires. Each one will be for one of these paragraphs. So now I would give you time to stop the video and try reading these paragraphs. If you already finished, let's do it together. The first paragraph is going to be entitled Hurricanes. The second one will be Earthquakes. The third one will be Wildfires. And the final one talks about floods. As for exercise 4 on page 121, we need to find the final sentence for each paragraph. So, for the first paragraph about hurricanes, the sentence for it is going to be C. This creates a circular movement of clouds and wind, which becomes faster and faster, producing a massive storm. For the second paragraph about earthquakes, the final sentence is going to be B. The energy is released in waves, which are felt most strongly at the epicenter. The third one for wildfires is going to be A. The heat source can be lightning, a campfire, a match, and even the sun. And the final one for floods, the answer for it, or the last sentence for it, is going to be D. Bridges, houses, trees, and cars can be picked up and carried away. On the same page, 121, we have present perfect in both active and passive. I know that we've studied it before, but the book already put it here, so we need to study it, and it will be a good chance to review it. So, to remind you, what's the present perfect tense? Present perfect is formed by containing have or has in addition to the past participle of the verb. We're talking about active here. So the formula will be have or has plus the past participle verb. Why do we use it? Why do we use this tense? For things that happened in the past and continue until now, and for reporting news when a particular past time is not specified. So something or news that happened in the past but not known in which day, which time exactly. So examples for that will be, for the first use, I have worked here for a very long time. Happened in the past and continues until now. The second example is for reporting news. They have lost their homes. When did that happen? We don't know. In the past, unspecified moment, let's say, or time. Let's remind ourselves of the steps that we can have to change to present perfect passive when you have an active sentence and you want to change it to passive. So we can use the same 4 steps that we use with everything, with one difference, which is in using the helping verb. So can you remind yourselves of these steps? Well, the first one is deleting the subject. After deleting the subject, we would bring the object to the beginning of the sentence. The third one would be to use a suitable auxiliary verb. Especially and particularly in this tense, it's going to be have or has plus the magic word, which is been. We use it all the time with this tense for passive. And finally, our verb should be in past participle. Notice that have is for singular and have for plural. We would have many sentences in the exercise after this one. For exercise 6 on the same page, we need to decide whether to have the active or passive form for each sentence using the verbs that are given in brackets. So you can stop the video right now and try to solve it. If you did, let's give the answers here. The first sentence, they have come here for food because they're doing it. There is no passive form here. Number 2, I dash to 2 volunteer firefighters. You have the verb speak, so it's going to be I have spoken to 2 volunteer firefighters. Again, no passive form here. Notice that every passive form, there should be been in the sentence. Number 3, I have never seen anything like this in my life. So again, it's active form. Number 4 is going to be different. 200 people have been killed because this is a passive form. Somebody killed those people. Last one, remote villages have been hit the worst. See, again, passive form. I would like you now to read the other text on page 122, Drought in East Africa. After you read it, try to solve the vocabulary on the same page. After that, the answers will be given by me. If you finished, let's see the meanings of these words. First, you have severe. Severe means extremely bad. Then you have drought, a long period when there is no rain and people do not have enough water. Then you have urgent, very important and needing immediate action. Number 4 is malnourished. which is not having enough food to eat to be healthy. Finally, we have circumstances, and circumstances means facts or events that make a situation the way it is. Also, for exercise 3, if you read these questions and try to answer them from the text, you could stop the video right now and try to solve them. And here are the answers if you finished. Of course, there are example answers, so it can be varied between other people. So for number 1, it's severe drought, which has affected at least 10 million people in East Africa. Number 2, how has the crisis affected Sabria and her family? Her mother's animals have all died. They're all living on food given to them by the charity. Action Aid, they don't have enough water. Number 3, how are people surviving? They're getting emergency help from a charity. For number 4, is this situation going to improve in the near future? No, the situation is likely to get worse. For the 5th one, how does the report end and why do you think it ends in this way? It ends in optimistic way. Optimistic to feel the good feeling, not to having the negative side of things, to get the positive one. So it ends in an optimistic way because the charity wants people to think that it's possible to help to improve the lives of those affected by the drought. Moving on to explain another use of English, which is using despite and in spite of. These two words have exactly the same meaning, so there is no trouble using any of them. They give or they introduce contrast, like although. The way you use although, use despite and in spite of. So they give the same meaning. Despite and in spite of can be put at the beginning or the middle of sentences. But notice, if you put them, or if you put despite or in spite of at the beginning, you would need a comma in the middle after the first clause is finished. Here are 2 examples for this way. Despite their problems, comma, they have continued to have a positive attitude. Notice here that we have contrasting ideas, problems, but positive attitude. See? And because we put despite at the beginning, we needed a comma after the first clause. The other sentence will be the opposite. Despite will be in the middle. They have continued to have a positive attitude despite their problems. No need for any comma here. In this slide, we will explain what comes after despite or in spite of. First thing is a noun or noun phrase, like the sentence. Despite such extreme circumstances, the Iraqi people are still hopeful. See? Such extreme circumstances. That's a noun phrase. If you don't know the meaning of noun phrase, it is the noun and the things before it that describe it or modifies it, like for example adjectives and stuff. So such extreme circumstances is noun phrase. There is no verb here. The second thing that could come after despite is pronoun, like this example. Despite this, they are still friends. Notice that this is a pronoun. It's a demonstrative pronoun. The last thing that comes after despite and in spite of is ing form. So it's going to be a verb with ing. In spite of having very little food, they are managing to survive. You see, having ing form. Since you learned the structures of despite and in spite of, It would be great now if you stop the video and try to solve the 5 sentences in the exercise 4. This question gives you the structures that you should use. So for the first one, although they were hungry, the children managed to sleep. How would we use it with despite plus ing form? We would say in this way, despite being hungry, being, you see, we didn't have a verb here, so we brought the verb being. Despite being hungry, the children managed to sleep. Number 2. They want us to use in spite of plus noun phrase. So we would say it in this way. In spite of a severe drought, Saberia and her family have some water to drink. Number 3. They want us to use despite plus ing form again. The sentence is although she doesn't go to school. So we would say it in this way. Despite not going to school. See, going is the ing form. 4. In spite of plus pronoun. So, in spite of them, or in spite of this, they remain positive. Number 5 and the last one, using despite plus ing form. Although they work hard to look after their animals, there's nothing people can do when there is no rain. So we would solve it in this way. Despite working hard to look after their animals, there is nothing people can do when there is no rain. So working is the ing form. After finishing with the course book today, we will move on to the workbook and solve 3 exercises on page 88 and 89. The first exercise is giving some clues. We would know the meanings of words, and after we know this, we will know the mystery word. So, the first clue, the force pressing on something, it's going to be pressure. Number 2 is going to be a dam. 3 source. 4 plates. 5 hurricane. 6 equator. 7 crust. 8 vibrations. Then banks. And finally number 10 oxygen. If you did this, your word is going to be, or the mystery word is going to be earthquake. For exercise 2, complete the text with the prepositions from the box. The answers are going to be as the following. Wildfires can move at speeds of over 20 kilometers an hour. They burn everything in their path. In an earthquake, the Earth's plates press against each other, causing pressure to build up. Vibration levels up to the Earth's surface. The energy is released in waves, which are strongest at the epicenter. Then you have hurricanes start over the water near the equator. For the last exercise for today, it's going to be using the present perfect passive in the blanks here. So there is the news website report. We will read it and put these answers. The first one is already solved. Some villages and small towns cut off, we would say have been cut off. This is the right using of present perfect passive. For number 2, we should say this has been caused by heavy rain and by rivers. For number 3, we have turn into between brackets. The answer would be has been turned into. 200 villagers, and we have the verb trap, so we would say have been trapped. Number 5, again cut off, so we would say has been cut off, because we have village, which is singular. Number 6, we have the verb bring, we would say that a rescue boat from the coast has been brought. Why has been, not have been? Because again, it's singular. 7, uh, we would say that to the village to bring in supplies, it has also been used to take children to and from school. 8, have been moved. 9, has your school been closed? This is a question here, so it's different. Have you missed school? Your school closed. So we would say, has your school been closed? Usually the concentration will not be on questions, but it would be a good thing to learn them. Again, cut off comes back, so have been cut off. Why did we use have? Because we have we. We have been cut off. Number 11, we have the verb take. We would say, we can't go by car, but we have been taken. And the last sentence would be not flood, so we would say hasn't been flooded. That was all for today's lesson. If you have any other questions, you can post them in the comment section and I will gladly answer them all. Thank you so much.